Hello there. Okay, great. This is actually working and everybody could actually hear me properly. It's so exciting to be here live right now. So there's a few things that we need to talk about, and it's going to be, if you're here for the seventh house, you're in the right place. So it makes me really excited to be here for the seventh house. And this is the area I actually specialize in. Is this actual area is the seventh house, is the house of what I call courtship, and relationship. So I really love being in this house, not because obviously I'm biased here or I have like really important planets in this house. It's just really because it's such an important house. If we're not alone, who are we with? We're with other people. So the opposite from our ascendant, which is who we are, it shows up intense interaction where our mutual benefits and mutual needs happens here. So I really call this house is a house of courtship and it's a house of relationship. And the principle in this area is we were here to learn to compromise. And I hate using that word. Absolutely hate using that word. Is compromise. We don't have to tolerate. We either accept the person or we reject the person. When you tolerate, it's just too much cortisol and it builds it up and you get really sick and you have to deal with the sixth house stuff. And it's not really about that. So if you're joining me right now and if you need an intro who I am and how I practice Vedic astrology, there is actually a video dedicated to that. So go and watch that if that's something that interests in you. But I just would like to get straight into it. So here's an area, it's about marriage, partnership, business association, or the relationship where we enter into agreements, okay? So if you're in the area of working with other people, if you're in the area of partnerships and business, if you're interested in marriage, this is the house that's going to happen. I had a couple of Vedic astrologer come on to my channel. We talked about the first house. We talked about the seventh house. And we get frustrated when we get frustrated with our seventh house because we're frustrated with ourselves, who we are, what we represent. There's so many what you call expert love gurus or personal development. They call it self-love. I really don't like that terminology. It sounds very narcissistic. It sounds like you're having issue with Rahu in the first house, really. No offense with anybody out there. I have seen many benefit that happens in this area. And what you really need to grasp in every area of your life is understanding who you are, what you represent. There's many tests out there. That's why like archetype is really popular and why, so many studies about personality tests or things like that, or Carl Jung's or Myers-Briggs test is so important. We want to identify our category, who we represent. So that being said, if we don't understand who we are, or we're not self-caring ourselves, we're going to actually sabotage our relationship, which is our seventh house. I see it happen time over and over again. And we're just here on this earth just to heal ourselves. That being said, it's an area where we learn how to negotiate, how to play fair, give up something that, what we really want in order to get something better. So that's what's really happening about here. It's all about self. Self is all about its lowest and our desire and heart. And then it has to do with our karma houses, where we learn values and understand and trade off what's the good and the bad and get something better out of it. So I call it the better half. So, and that's where it really is. So, where it actually represent in the body part of it is the sacrum and the lower pelvic area. So, if anybody who's into practically understanding a little bit more about body and astrology, that's where it is. So, it actually also represent your colon as well. It also represent your sacrum. Yeah, where you sit on your bottom. So that's where it is. And it's such an amazing area. So the seventh house is also where you go and have romantic partnerships. Other people are in the partnership will be in the seventh house connection. The strong needs and desire we want is fulfilled with others. So you need to have that fulfillment with others in order to have that better understanding of us. And yes, you want to have a healthy relationship, and not meaning like you go and jump in the relationship and things are going to get better, or you understand a little bit more about yourself because you're in that relationship. No, no, no. That's none of that actually really is the factor. So activities, sexual relations, intimacy, business negotiation, enjoying conversation with others, debates, respecting others' point of view, and even as you know, tolerating with others as well. You know, environment that you can come across is bedroom, boardrooms, meetings rooms, social gatherings is another one as well. Objects that can represent in this area are the beds, beauty enhancing like makeup, perfume, you know, nice cars, sex toys, romantic props like candles, soft light, really nice beddings and things like that really turn up that area. This area really represents the Libra, which is represent the strongest of the Venus indicator here. So we have to remember about when we're looking at Libra, you know, there's that scale. So if you're going to take something is going to go off balance and vice versa. So just be mindful when that happens here. You know, when it comes to personal happiness or personal desire, you have to understand a little bit more about you in order to have a healthy romantic relationship with your partner, and not to project. Here's the answer: not to project onto your partner. When you project things with your partner, things not going to turn out. That's your idea, that's your thought, that's how you want to be taken care of. But that's not always the case. You have to communicate. You have to let them know, give them feedback, and vice versa. And you have to allow yourself to grow. So just because this X person can actually do active service and this other person can't, honestly, they're not broken, and you're not broken either. So here's the big benefit here. When it comes to sexual romantic, this is a big factor. So if you have some planet that's hurting you, always reflect on back of how you nurture yourself, how you take care of yourself, and the type of things that can actually help you feel good about yourself. So we're not talking about drugs, alcohol, or overeating, or overhurting yourself and your body here. So you gotta take care of that body. So if you have the opportunity to have personal development, this is a great area that you could do. You learn more about your partner. You can do counseling with a group as well, or you can have me, like myself. I can help you in this area because this is an area I love to get to help people here. So that being said, I'm not going to talk so much about the planets, but that being said, if you have a sun in this area, you know, if you have like your goals and your desire, you're going to have to learn how to make a sacrifice, and that's where it is. You know, if you're emotionally charged all the time in this area, it just means that, you know what, it's going to take learning how to have healthy boundaries. And if you liked, you know, argue with your partner, it just means that you have an aggressive planet could be right in this area. And maybe that's your sense of love, communication, but aggressive. Like, you know, like Italians family, they're very aggressive, or even Asian family as well. They just really are aggressive, but that's the way they show love. But you got to do it in a non-destructive way. So solution problem solving here. If you are in a really family sign, like, you know, like Mercury, it's really important to have really great communication and be committed and hardworking and be consistent and all that part of it. Mercury is all about being great, having a great friend. If you have a nice planet, what I call the guru planet here, and it's all about, you know, you could be somebody who enjoy philosophy or religion and things like that, and that maybe can show a little bit what you're compatible. So make sure your partner is enjoying those kind of part of it as well. And if you have a beautiful planet, what I call Venus, and enjoys romantic, addicted to love really, and then addicted to the idea of comfort and things like that, and beautiful, like having a beautiful person in front of you, that's another thing. And if you have a planet that's called, like I call it, the scary Saturn, but it's not that scary. And it's just where you have to learn how to have boundaries and letting go of boundaries. Yes, a relationship does take work. A lot of people think it's like, oh, we fall in love, we get into this high, and it's really not about that. It's all about learning how to have healthy boundary, when to say no, and so you don't have to compromise or tolerate. That's not okay. It's either you accept them as who they are, and if they're going to work on their baggage, great. I think empathy is really important, but not allow yourself to be in the victim mode, so you become in this drama triangle where you go into hero, and then you go into victim, and then you go into, you know, rescuing. It's just not healthy. So having healthy boundary, being self-aware, say no, and that's the power. And then maybe instead of just saying no, how about let's do it at a different time, let's talk about it in another time, or let's talk about it in an hour. Just have that structure. Have a structure in your relationship. All right, I think that's all it really is. And if you have any romantic relationship questions, please leave it down below. If you're struggling in your area of romantic singly dating and don't know what's going on, I'm more than happy to help you. You can book a time with me down below. If you're a female and you're single and you're really struggling in this area and you're a high achiever, please, I actually have a group for you. It's called on Facebook, so go check that out. I'll leave the link down below. And then I'll see you guys next week on the 8th house, which is a really great house to have. Just part of your chart, and it's just part of life, and you really have to learn how to have that fun excitement in this area. So I'm going to end it, and today's our meet today, and I'll see you next time, and I'm so excited to be doing that with you. All right, bye now.